Yo, what's up guys? Another ToaHell video. Same as every ToaHell video, I use my main team. Let me tell you, you don't have to use this exact team. There's actually a way better team. I don't have these units because I don't want to double on them. But Tyron is free to play. Ganymede is replaceable by Dark Gargoyle's unbalanced field. Preferably with skill ups. I think you need the skill ups. Jeanne, free to play. Balanus will be replaced by Spectra 2A. And then your fifth slot is pretty much open. So you could go either for Daughter, let's say Rika, or you go for any damage dealer, any AoE pushbacks, stuns, anything would work. So for all of these units, I would go violent. You don't have to go will unless like some specific stages maybe, but I would say all of them violent except for one AoE unit I would recommend to put on despair, and it just enhances the amount of like the stuns you are probably gonna get. This month is also more interesting for ToaHell than normally because we have the free room remove for like about 2 weeks right now. Use that time to do ToaHell. Like if you normally didn't do 30 stars, I would recommend you, like if you want to get it in your profile that you did 30 stars, this is probably the month you want to do it. There are some annoying stages though, but at least you have the time to play around with like free room removal. Also, if you normally don't do ToaHell, I recommend this is the month you try it out and you get like some feeling for it. If you don't have these units that I just mentioned, Devilmont or like build in general, as I do recommend you to build them. I do not myself because I can already clear ToaHell by just throwing room quality at it, and I have other units to compensate for that kind of. But it's a good investment. Like the moment you can clear ToaHell right now, you just invest in those units right now. The amount of months that you're gonna play, every month you're gonna get one more Devilmon, one more legendary scroll, a bunch of MS more, a bunch of crystals more. So it is worth the investment, especially if you're free to play. It's worth the investment to get as much free to play crystals as possible because these are free to play crystals. With that said, I'm doing 20 stars right now because I just was pretty lazy on this one and I didn't really want to do like that much of a try hard. I will go over the teams which I recommend if you would actually want to go for a 3-star setup. Also, I do like some units, so therefore the team that I'm using is not better than the team I just named. The team that I just named with Spectra and Dark Gargoyle's unbalanced field are actually one of the most key units you can use in ToaHell. But that's it, so I'm just gonna go over the stages. These are like all pre-recorded. I'm just gonna show what stage, which waves, and how to tackle it, how to beat it. If I recommend you to do it on lower stars because it's an annoying stage. So, first stage, we have immune to cooldown, increasing effects, and passives don't work. Let's just go for it. Also, a question I get quite a lot: why is Tyron better than FRR? 4 reasons. 1, speed lead. Number 2, slow debuff. Because I'm not 100% sure, but I think Tyron or FRR still doesn't have a slow debuff. Number 3, glancing. Glancing is actually pretty good. If a unit takes a turn and he's glanced, it's very likely to land, or very unlikely to land debuffs. It does a lot less damage. There's no crits. It's just a lot better. And number 4 is multi-hits. Because he hits multi, he's more likely to push back and glance the wrong element, in this case wind. So for these early stages, you just want to give them not any turn and then it's pretty easy. I use Ganymede. I know I can't do the cooldown increasing effect, but still the pushback and the ventilate are good enough that you can easily do this. The room quality you need are probably like FIO sets that are like 240 to 50-ish, I'd say. I'm not 100% sure, but around that is at least for your CCers, and then a damage dealer can be somewhat less. So I'm just skipping through like the waves. This wave could be a little bit annoying. In general, you just don't want units to get a turn and then you're pretty much in the clear. And then you're at the Laima. Question I always get: why does your Laima have black legs or something? Those are leggings, and it's the Chinese censored version to not show too much skin. You have that for a bunch of units like Oracles, Hell Ladies, even Seth and Train are having some censored version right now that they don't show the skull. Whatever, doesn't matter too much. Pretty easy stage and should be an easy 3 stars. Then the next stage we have is I'm kind of in front of it. Applying 1 turn immunity, and the other one is counter. I used to do this with Jeanne, but Jeanne is actually not the best option for this. Tiana is the best option for this because you still have the 15% check that shit is not gonna land. And 15% check times 5 it is very likely something is not gonna land. And then you get a bunch of counters, and they always have some annoying units that will probably counter. If you do not have Tiana, I'm not necessarily sure which would be your best stripper to go for. You could go like, for example, Clara, but I think you're gonna have a bad time with the counters for some of these stages. So Tiana is pretty much a must. Because the moment these units counter, they actually steal your buff. So they would steal your immunity as well, which is just highly annoying. So yeah, Tiana, I would almost say it's pretty much a must. Sorry if you don't have one, but if you don't have one, you're just gotta have to fight RNG. That's pretty much the case. You could go really tricky and try to get, like, for example, your stripper like multiple turns to get rid of all of the buffs before you hit it, but I don't really see that happening. So this one as well, yeah, you don't want to get counters because Jeanne as one gets a turn, blah blah blah, not chill. So Tiana is again the main solution. Same for this one, the Elsharians, the moment they start countering is pretty annoying, but this unit itself, Jeanne is just really good in all of these stages. You just provoke, they do as ones, and it just helps out. And that should be easy, 6 stars. Then we have the next one, immune to inability effects and cooldown increasing effects do not work. You can still CC by provokes. So provokes is probably your main guess for this one. I use the exact same team as I used before. It looks a little bit dangerous with these tractors, but they actually do like really minimum damage. They do like 600 per hit or something. They barely do anything. It just takes a while because I don't really have dots in this team to actually kill them. But in the end, that's not bad. This can be a little bit annoying because the Susanos have the 50% reduction of resist, or like the 50% extra resistance in their passive, which is a little bit annoying, and you don't want to give turns to these witches because they actually cleanse. Then for this stage, it looks a little bit tricky because of the Moors, which get their passive like S3s up. But in the end, the early stages, they have lower speeds, and it's still pretty doable to just keep them like CC'd with just the provokes, and you'll get there and just do damage. Spectra is really good for those boss stages. Like, Spectra does damage based on enemy max HP, and therefore Spectra is so much better than Balance actually to do all of these stages. The wave stages are going to be slower, but the boss stages are going to be a lot faster and a lot easier with the Spectra. And that should be easy 9 stars. Then your next stage is the same as the second stage, so 1 turn immunity and 2 turn counter. Same thing, you just use Tiana and you go for it. This stage was a little bit more annoying though, because at some point I got kind of close. Because they do get turns, especially the Astar, because Astar's passive actually increases the speed based on like how low her HP is. For these units, Hey Gangs, do not be too afraid of Hey Gangs, because if you just outspeed them, like, their speed buff is not that much. So they actually, like Tiana, you boost up, they boost up a little, you outspeed really easy. Then this stage as well, it could be tricky if you actually use buffs, because Magnums get their attack bar based on you getting buffs. But I didn't use any, so all of these units pretty much do nothing. So this stage I did miss some. You do need for your accuracy, I would say you need somewhere around like 55 accuracy to be like pretty certain. I had some lower accuracy on some of these units, and therefore I was missing some of the debuffs, which was pretty annoying. And especially when units like Lapis and like, they don't do too much damage, but that chip damage, it still kind of adds up. Also, I don't have a speed buff. If you have Dark Homunculus Unbalanced Field, you do have a speed buff, which helps out a lot. And yeah, that's just the chip damage. It's not that much. It looks really weak, but in the end, it kind of starts adding up to the point like, okay, we're not that much in the Gucci. So, but still, this team does prevail, but it was, besides some resists, a little bit wonky here and there. I know you cannot push back if there's not a slow. Also, don't use your Tiana as 3. And yeah, this was, I think I was saved by this proc over here. Because yeah, I'm 100% saved by the proc, because I actually killed with this hit. So this is not necessarily a bad team. It was just, I didn't play it that well, or I didn't have enough accuracy. So that should be 12 stars. And you already have your Devilmon. So this is where it gets more annoying. Yeah, immune to cooldown increasing effects from attacks and increase 15% attack bar from receiving damage, and they put a fucking Tetra in there. The people that I know that do this all the time, they call this one of the most annoying stages there ever has been. This one I really recommend to do probably on 1 star, maybe 2 stars, whatever you prefer. But this stage is just pretty much annoying, and at this point I felt like, okay, I don't want to do 30 stars in this. Because it is just pretty annoying. Like the first stage, you can get around these Jeannes. They're a little bit annoying, but you can get around. Like it's not that bad. This stage is a little bit annoying with the Amelias. The moment Amelias get a turn, they actually go into immunity stacking. That's pretty annoying. You could feel like, okay, I would go Bolvik on this maybe. But then you see what's at the last stage, and you do not want to Bolvik that. They have 2 Dark Demons plus 2 Huadams, and then a Tetra in the middle. So, yeah, the moment you kill one of the Dark Demons, you kill another unit, Dark Demon comes back, and if you don't have your S2 of your Jeanne on probably your Jeanne, then you're gonna hella die. So it's an option to try to trick them into having Jeanne S2, but the moment you proc out, you're hella dead on that as well. Sounds pretty difficult. So in the end, the team that I did use to clear it was my standard team, and I actually did it on 1 star, so I could increase the cooldown of the Dark Demons, slowly kill off the Dark Demons, slowly kill everything, and then go for that. If you do want to do this on 3 stars, however, I'm pretty much recommending the same team that I recommend for most of these stages, which is Tyron, Jeanne, Spectra, Dark Homunculus, and Ganymede. You could remove maybe Ganymede for Lauren. I did hear that Lauren does pretty well as well, because you have the heal block, which helps out. You do have multi-hits, but you also push backward to a certain amount. And the thing you want to do is you want to kill the Huadams both. You don't want to touch the demons unless you don't want to give attack bar to the Tetra. And then you start killing the Tetra. So that's just it. But the stage highly annoying. I do really recommend people to go 1 star. So with that +1, we're at 13 stars. So this is another stage which is a little bit annoying. We have immune to inability effects and 22% extra Vio. The 22% extra Vio on everyone doesn't matter too much, but the inability effects is pretty annoying. Not that Sylvia necessarily is annoying, but you got the second stage, which is Leo, Ragdoll, +3 Laikas. And that stage, if you cannot stun them, it is doable, but it is a really annoying stage. So an option to do here is actually going for a Thessarion, and with Thessarion you can give the Oblivion, first you Oblivion Leo, then you Oblivion Ragdoll, and in my case I can actually stun them, so that works out. In most cases, what I've seen for other teams is Tyron, Jeanne, or another healer. I have seen people use Balladion, for example. There you go, Spectra, Dark Homunculus, Ganymede. So the first stage is pretty easy. They don't do too much. If they violate out, you could actually die. That's the dangerous thing about these stages. But yeah, this stage is pretty annoying. I first did this where I could stun them. Also, Balinus is not really a good unit in this situation. A Spectra is way better because you AoE hit, they counter you. Also, Poseidon is not the greatest here, but yeah, these at some point they do quite a lot of damage, and I think I actually still filled it with this team because the Laika Revenges just do too much. I have too many AoE hits. It's a little bit dangerous. Having a Thrain here, for example, would already help out quite some if you can actually stun them. And I think I filled here. Yep. So on the other try, I remove Balinus for a Thessarion, and then it just becomes a lot easier because, well, you can just Oblivion them, you can stun them, and then it's, right now it's already like so much easier. Also, once you get to the boss with the Thessarion, it is Also, once you get to the boss with the siren, it's pretty easy because the moment something would take a turn, which is likely to happen, if you have the verts on Oblivion, they're not gonna push the attack bar. You're not gonna get into like a cycle of like getting too many turns. The Sylvia is pretty fast. She's like about 270 speed or something. So it is possible that she's gonna take some turns, but if you just keep everything stunned up, it is pretty doable. If you go for that you cannot be stunned, I think you do really need your Dark Homunculus unbalanced field because you need that speed buff, you need that slow on them. And with that you can cycle enough probably. But without that, it could be pretty much a pain. So this is one I recommend you to do on 2 stars. I would keep the inability effects out of there. I would not go for the inability effects. I would just keep in the extra Vio chance, and then it's pretty doable. So as you can see, like I'm pretty full HP, nothing really happened, just on 2 stars. So that makes it 15 stars right now, getting the LV. And then the next stage is the double occult girl. We have immune to cooldown increasing effects, and passives don't work, so for Lauren doesn't really work. I don't really care that much about the no passives because I don't use them anyways. Immune to cooldown increasing effects is not that bad. I feel like I can just use my main team, and the main team I've been saying like all over. So first stage, like this is not gonna give you any trouble. Second stage also doesn't look like too much trouble. You can stun it, so that makes it just so much easier. If NFLs do get a turn, it might be tricky, but... So then we have the occult girls. You cannot stun them, so you actually have to work with glancing. Glancing is really important. 2 turns provoke and glancing. So they are gonna get some turns at some point, especially Charlotte, because you have less chance of pushing her back with Tyron. With Poseidon, it is the same amount. With Spectra, it's also the same amount as always. So... what you have to work, like the moment they glance, they can never land asleep. And the chance of landing asleep is also not that big. So you just have to kind of pray that they never land asleep. And if they do, that they just land it once and not like in a cycle of twice. And just take care that you always have glancing on both units. And then it should be pretty doable. And this should be a 3 star. And the side oracle, did I say oracles before? OGs. The side OGs you don't have to focus on. They probably never get a turn, or they just die by AoEs or anything like that. In my case, I focused Charlotte first because she was more difficult to push back. You could focus Nicki first because the moment Nicki takes a turn, she has the possibility to cleanse everyone. But I think if they take a turn and they actually do your skills, you're kind of dead anyway. So you just have to make sure that they never do anything else than S1, which should be on glancing and provoke, and then it should be fine. So, yeah, that should be 3 stars. And I think we're at 17 then. No, wait, we're at 18. 18. Yep, so that makes 18. So I have stage 8 and stage 9 just to do 2 more, which makes it pretty easy. So for this one, we have the monkey with immune to attack bar increasing and decreasing effects. That one is always really annoying because I love to just push back, and unrecoverable. So you probably got to work with shields or something like that. And I felt like, no way I'm doing this. This sounds like probably the monkey has like hella counters at the end and that kind of stuff. You could work with like Valeria to counter the unrecoverable. You can work with just shields and those kind of things in general. The combination of the two, this is one I recommend to go on 1 star. You could definitely go for like 2 stars, 3 stars, but I feel this was way too annoying to actually even think of a team. So I just went really easy, really lame, and I just went for 1 star. Because I only need 2 more stars and then I'm already finished. I would say like go for one or the other and not for both. I would probably say that, well, depends on what you use. Because you still have the counters in there, which is pretty annoying. And then if you have unrecoverable, it could be more difficult. But if you have like constant shields, then I think just adding in the unrecoverable and then still pushing back would be pretty doable. But also the other way around, like if you just have a heavy stun team and then some heals, it's pretty doable to do it without pushing them back. As long as you have the speed buff, they have the slow, then you can get around them. This is also pretty annoying because every time you hit these things, they actually give you a dot, and that dot kind of adds up over time with the damage, and Valeria starts healing, which she is not possible to, rather than doing her shield. So this is an annoying stage. You don't want to do this on high stars. If you're struggling with TOA, you don't want to do this on high stars. So then for the monkeys, well, actually it's, if they put double Artemil here on the side, I would freaking cry. But luckily they don't do that, because these things actually need a turn to get their counters up. Those things could be annoying. You constantly hit like AoE, or at least with my team I constantly hit AoE. If you do this with a Spectra, you can more like focus on the middle target rather than the sides. But then if you can't manipulate the attack bar, Spectra's maybe not that good. Annoying, annoying, annoying. So yeah, I give this a solid 1-star finish. Then we have the last stage. I only needed 1 star. I actually have no clue what this Dark Gargoyle does, but I just knew if you don't give it any turn, it is pretty easy. But again, I think it's pretty clearable with Spectra, Dark Homunculus, and then maybe a Bella for like some more AoE healing, or a Jeanne, whatever feels better. Immune to inability effects, and increase the attack bar by 15 when damage received, which is a little bit annoying. But yeah, so wait, I actually read it. So when the turn ends, you will turn in a statue. For the next chance, you won't be able to defeat in the statue. Okay, so you can only kill him when he's not in a statue. Should be fine. And the other skill is so long that the OK button goes right through it. Yay! I don't even want to read this. I don't have good advice for this one. I've seen other people use the team that is normally there. Just use that. I did it 1 star. I only needed 1 star. Dark Liches might be annoying if you don't like stun them, I guess, because they do hella damage. I can give you that much. Like if they get a turn and they do damage on your ass, they do hella damage. And this one I think is a little bit easier, because they have like an up to, also you don't want them to do damage on you, to be honest. I think that's still the case for both of them. And then you have this, and this is not that much of a problem at all if you actually stun them. If they're gonna get turns, the snipers on the outer side, they actually give armor break, and then anything is gonna one-shot you. And if you glance on the snipers on the inner side, they will get a turn instantly. So yay! I was really happy to do this on 1 star, not gonna lie. So that's my recommendation for getting the 20 stars. You can also, I didn't even touch the final stage. You can also clear the final stage on 1, 2, or 3 stars to get like the extra what you need. So for that one, we have the block beneficial effect and the reflect 3000. I really hate the reflect 3000. But the block beneficial effect, as long as you don't use a vigor, then it's pretty doable. But that was my 20 stars. I didn't do more than 20 stars, so I'm not showing you. Most of the time I skip the floor 10 and I'm already 20 stars. And I kind of recommend you to do the same. So that's it for the ToaHell. For this rotation. Next rotation, I might go try it again, might not. Kind of depends. To be honest, I feel like it's not that worth it for the 500 extra crystals. Sure, if you're free to play and you have these units that can clear it and you really want those 500 extra crystals, it is actually pretty worth it. But for me, I don't have the Spectra, I don't have the Dark Homunculus, and therefore it's just such a struggle to... Because most of these stages are actually really easy with a Spectra hitting an insane amount of damage on the boss every time. And having a speed buff, the slow debuff, and then also putting like the cool time increasing for you, and then the cooldown increasing for them, which is just... on a cooldown decreasing for them, which is just really OP of a skill in ToaHell. And you also armor break with that unit, so that unit, those two units I think are the best units for ToaHell. And I just lack them, therefore I'm not doing more than 20 stars. Maybe next month again. I already cleared 30 star one, so doesn't matter too much. So anyways guys, thanks for watching and see you in the next one.